Hey there, Internet Best Buddies, welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm Ray, and today we're going to be looking at Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Is that what it's called? Yeah, cool. I forget the subtitle. So this is the first of the Star Wars anthology films, and for those of you that don't really know what that means, it's the Star Wars films that will not necessarily focus on the main, like, Skywalker story arcs, so it won't have, like, an episode 1, 2, or 3, etc. attached to it. It'll just be, like, a story of Star Wars, hence the little subtitle. Solo's coming out this Friday, and I figured why not review Rogue One, which is a movie I admittedly was kind of lukewarm on at first. And I was like, hey, might as well give the movie another shot, see what's going on. And boy am I happy I did. But before we get into that, why don't you go and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the videos that I put out. You want to subscribe to my channel. So my question for you guys, this video is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Are you excited for Solo, a Star Wars movie coming out this Friday? I will admit I am cautiously excited for it. I wasn't super excited at first, and then I saw, I believe it was the second trailer they released, and I thought that was really cool. It's getting me a little excited. I've heard mixed reviews on it from early reviews, so we'll see. Probably go see it Friday morning with my movie pass. If you do decide to answer the question in the comment section down here, you'll be entered for a chance to win a digital code for Rogue One. That's pretty cool, huh? Years after her father is taken by the Empire to complete their ultimate weapon, Jyn Erso joins forces with the Rebel Alliance in order to save her father and secure plans that will help end the Galactic Empire's reign of terror over the galaxy. Hello. I don't know why. Amanda, stop calling me when I'm trying to be creative. So the first time that I saw this movie, I must have been in a very different headspace, because I feel like I've kind of completely 180'd as far as my thoughts on this movie. Not that I hated it before, but after watching it earlier today, I really like this movie. Like, a lot. It's really good. I thought that a lot of the characters were actually really fleshed out in a good way, to where I actually felt for them in the movie, and I could empathize with them, which is probably one of my biggest turnarounds from my initial viewing of the theatrical run. Originally, I only thought they gave enough, screen time to Jyn, Galen, and Cassian for me to actually care about these characters. But after this repeat viewing, I definitely felt more for pretty much the entirety of the Rogue One cast. I did think that Diego Luna and Felicity Jones were the standouts of the film, and my god, Mads Mikkelsen, I love him in pretty much everything I see him in. He is fantastic. I also really enjoyed Alan Tudyk as K2SO, who not only provided some really funny lines in a very deadpan manner, but also provided probably one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the movie for me. Now, again, with my first impressions being kind of completely different than what they are now, I actually did think they gave enough screen time and enough moments for me to actually care when the Rogue One cast members were dying off in the movie. If you know me at all, you know I absolutely love movies where there's a team of people that are slowly getting picked off one by one en route to completing their overall mission. And as a side note, my favorite of those kinds of movies, for some reason, is The Core, and I'll fight you on it. I love that movie. Aaron Eckhart's phenomenal. Stanley Tucci in it too, so that's cool. So they do show a lot of moments of the Rebel soldiers not being the squeaky clean characters that we thought of in Episode 4, but I would have liked a few more moments of them performing very despicable and desperate acts in order to overcome the Empire. But again, there were some of those in there, so that's pretty cool. So what was my biggest issue was the fact that we know these characters die. They don't show up in Episode 4. This is pretty much a suicide mission. And 2 years ago when I saw the movie, I really couldn't connect with the characters because of that. But upon the rewatching of the movie, I found myself getting really invested in the Rogue One crew, to the point where I did want some of them to survive the film. Let's get real. Side note, I do think there was a bit of an editing issue, and it's pretty visible in the movie when the big explosion's happening behind all of them, and you see Jyn and Cassian hugging, and then, like, at the last second, you see Cassian, like, open his eyes, which was clearly Diego Luna, like, okay, is the scene done? Like, are we good to go? And then that's the moment when it hits them. Small issue, but, I mean, it's blatantly obvious. There are also some really great touches that they decided to add to the movie for longtime Star Wars fans. Not only just the originals, but prequels as well. Because you have Jimmy Smits return as Senator Bail Organa. That was pretty cool. And he references characters like Obi-Wan and Leia. And they also have, if you notice, there's some scenes where they're showing the cockpits of the rebel fighters, and the footage looks a little out of place, like a little grainy. That's because they used, I believe it was deleted scene footage from like episodes 4, 5, and 6. Or maybe just 4. For those cockpit scenes. So that was really cool. I like seeing that in there. So the visuals in this movie were also incredible. From the varied and gorgeous environments that we go to, like the tropical planet of Scarif, to the super intense land and air battles going on in the movie. Awesome. Just awesome across the board. And man, those explosion scenes where the Death Star's actually shooting up a planet was awesome. Especially on Jeddah. It reminded me a lot of Krypton exploding in Man of Steel. The way that they tried to shoot this film like a war movie is definitely showed off here. It definitely looks different than other Star Wars battles that we've had. Especially since they do an excellent job of showing like the scale of some of the things we've already seen. Like in an AT-AT, I think are the bigger ones. We get like an upshot of them from like the soldier views, and then also seeing like Star Destroyers literally over cities, and just how massive they are was really sweet. I also thought that the new Stormtroopers that they showed off, like the Death Troopers and the tropical like Scarif Troopers, they were really cool. I like their designs. Although I will still argue that the tentacle monster interrogation scene is dumb and was really out of place and felt kind of unnecessary. I thought that the music was really good in the movie, and specifically at the end, where there's a moment where the music is like a very hopeful, like end of battle music, to the realization that the characters are going to die off, and to you accepting that, and then to like immediately swell back up into that hope was really cool. That was a nice touch. And I know there were a lot of comments on the CG used for Tarkin and Leia in the movie, and it was very heavily scrutinized. My first viewing, I really didn't notice it at all. I thought it was actually pretty seamless. Upon this viewing, you definitely notice that Tarkin is CGI, mainly because the actor's dead. They can't just do that de-aging thing. But I didn't think it was as bad as people make it out to be. Like, it's totally noticeable, but it's not terrible. Like, it looks like a really polished video game cutscene, I thought. And also, Leia's scene, I thought that was pretty seamless. I still don't notice an issue with it. Probably because it wasn't on screen for that long compared to Tarkin's. And the last thing that I want to touch on in this review is the Vader scenes, which he steals every scene that he's in. It's fantastic, especially the very much talked about end scene where he actually whips out his lightsaber and starts like tearing through rebel soldiers trying to get the Death Star plans. I thought that was awesome. That was like a horror scene. Just showing Vader is still capable of that kind of stuff during the events of A New Hope, which you know that he probably would have been anyway, but due to the limitations at the time, they clearly couldn't show it in The New Hope. But man, that was an awesome scene to watch. And even when he's on Mustafar in his castle, talking to Krennic and in the Bacta tank and all that cool stuff, just awesome. I loved everything with Vader in this movie, as did apparently everyone else in the world. Man, did you hear that puberty? The only thing I do want to say about Vader is they did bring back James Earl Jones, which was absolutely a necessity if you're going to have Vader on the big screen. You need that iconic voice to come back. And he looks really good in the movie. However, the way they mixed his audio for his voice, it's very different sounding than what we've heard in Episode 3 and clearly the original movies. It's very slightly distracting. It is noticeable, but it is still James Earl Jones, which is the important part. It's not like a Star Wars Battlefront or Battlefront 2, like the new EA games, where it is clearly someone trying to be James Earl Jones, but just can't do it. That's a whole other discussion for another time. But yeah, the voice mixing is a little different. It is noticeable. It's a lot cleaner, I would say. Much like the critics of Empire Strikes Back when it first came out, time changes opinions. I found myself wrapped up in this movie and enjoying the hell out of it. Star Wars Rogue One gets an 8 out of 10. I think another really cool element to this movie is the fact that it seamlessly fits into the Star Wars canon and the Star Wars series of movies, because you can watch this movie starting here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the... Starting here. Watching the movie ends here, and then A New Hope picks up, like, literally right after. It's seamless. And it's great, and it just makes A New Hope a longer movie, which is awesome. So as always, thanks for watching the review, guys. It means a great deal that you're continuing to watch the content that I put out. Like I said in the beginning, definitely subscribe so you can stay tuned with all the videos that I do put out. Leave a comment down here letting me know if you're excited for the Solo movie for a chance to win that Rogue One digital code. Give the video a like and share it with a movie-loving friend. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.